The message arrived without warning. 1 second. Humanity was arguing about politics, stock markets, celebrity scandals, and wars that suddenly seemed meaningless. The next, every screen on Earth went black. Phones died in people's hands. Television broadcasts froze mid-sentence. Aircraft lost communication. Military satellites stopped responding. Even deep space observatories, hidden beneath mountains and oceans, suddenly redirected toward the same impossible point in the sky. Then the stars moved. Across Earth's atmosphere, millions looked upward as a massive geometric shape unfolded above the planet, like a second night sky being peeled open. It stretched from horizon to horizon, too enormous for the human mind to properly understand. The object did not resemble a ship. It looked more like mathematics carved into reality itself. Cities fell silent. For the first time in recorded history, humanity stopped talking. And then the voice came, not through speakers, not through radio, not even through language. It simply appeared inside every human mind at once. Civilization of Earth, your species has reached the threshold of galactic awareness. Panic exploded across the globe. Cars crashed. Crowds screamed. Religious gatherings filled instantly. Military defense systems activated worldwide. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, inside the United Earth Defense Command bunker, alarms screamed to the facility while officers rushed between holographic displays showing the impossible structure hanging above Earth. General Marcus Hale stared at the tactical projections with cold disbelief. Tell me someone knows what that thing is. No known propulsion. No detectable weapons. No thermal signature. No biological readings. The young analyst swallowed hard. Sir, it's bigger than the moon. Around the room, silence tightened like a noose. Then the voice returned. You stand accused of a dangerous evolutionary trait. Across the world, billions listen in frozen terror. Humanity adapts too quickly. Inside NASA headquarters, Dr. Elena Reyes nearly dropped the tablet in her hands as streams of alien symbols translated themselves in real time across every monitor. The impossible geometry above Earth pulsed once. For thousands of cycles, the galactic dominion has preserved stability among the stars. Species evolved slowly, predictably, peacefully. The massive construct shifted again. Your species does not. Military leaders exchanged nervous looks. Elena's hands trembled as new data flooded the screens. The object wasn't scanning Earth's weapons. It was scanning human history. Wars, technological leaps, industrial revolutions, artificial intelligence, nuclear weapons, space travel. Every violent, brilliant, chaotic step humanity had taken. In 200 of your years, you progressed from primitive combustion to atomic fire. In less than 1 century, you created digital intelligence capable of recursive self-improvement. The voice paused. For the first time, humanity heard something unexpected inside it. Fear. Such acceleration has historically resulted in galactic extinction events. The room inside the command bunker erupted. They think we're a threat? To them? That's insane. But Elena Reyes kept staring at the incoming data, because the aliens weren't threatening Earth. They were warning the galaxy about humanity. The realization chilled her blood. Under Dominion law, rapidly adaptive civilizations must undergo evaluation before being permitted interstellar expansion. General Hale narrowed his eyes. Evaluation? The answer came instantly. A trial of survival. Suddenly, the holographic displays changed. A distant region of space appeared before them, a massive artificial structure orbiting a dead star far beyond human territory. Even through projection, it looked monstrous. Thousands of wrecked ships drifted around it like bones surrounding a predator. You will send representatives to the Black Gate. More information flooded every system on Earth simultaneously. Star maps, propulsion equations, wormhole mathematics, alien engineering principles decades beyond human understanding. Humanity had just been handed faster than light travel, but the gift felt more like a death sentence. At the Black Gate, your species will face the judgment protocol. Now the voice lost all emotion. Species that survive evaluation are welcomed into the Dominion. A pause followed. Then came the sentence humanity would never forget. Species that fail are erased before they become a future threat. Across Earth, fear became absolute. Parents held children tightly. Governments collapsed into emergency sessions. Financial markets died within minutes. Religious leaders called it Judgment Day. But inside the bunker, Elena Reyes focused on one specific line hidden deep inside the alien transmission. The Black Gate had been used before, hundreds of times, and almost nobody survived it. "General," she whispered quietly. Marcus turned toward her. Elena's face had gone pale. "There's more." The room fell silent as she enlarged the translated records onto the main display. Rows of extinct civilizations appeared one after another. Entire species, entire star systems, gone, not conquered, deleted. The alien voice returned one final time. "You have 6 months to arrive." The giant structure above Earth began folding back into itself, space twisting around it like water circling a drain. Adapt quickly, humanity. The stars bent violently. Then the object vanished. Every system on Earth came back online at once. But humanity itself would never return to normal again. For several long seconds, nobody inside the command bunker moved. Then General Hale finally spoke the question haunting every human mind on the planet. How are we supposed to survive something that destroys civilizations? No one answered. But in the back of the room, staring at the alien equation still scrolling endlessly across her screen, Dr. Elena Reyes felt a terrifying idea beginning to form. Not a way to win, a way to cheat. The following 72 hours became the most chaotic in human history. Governments stopped pretending borders mattered. Presidents, kings, generals, billionaires, scientists, and intelligence agencies flooded into emergency summits that never ended. Every military satellite pointed toward the stars. Every major factory on Earth shifted into wartime production. Universities closed as their researchers were absorbed into global survival projects. Humanity had 6 months. 6 months to prepare for a test that had exterminated civilizations older than human history itself. And for the first time since the Cold War, every nuclear power on Earth agreed on one terrifying truth. If humanity fought itself now, the galaxy would not even notice when they disappeared. Deep beneath Geneva, inside the newly established United Earth Strategic Command, holographic displays filled an underground chamber the size of a stadium. Rows of alien ship designs rotated above tactical platforms, while military officers argued loud enough to shake the steel walls. "We build numbers," shouted a European defense minister. "The transmission clearly states this is a survival trial. We send the largest fleet possible." With what? Another official snapped back. "Half the equations they gave us violate known physics." "Then we learn faster." "We don't have faster." At the center of the room, General Marcus Hale watched the chaos with growing frustration. Humanity was already falling apart under pressure, and the trial had not even begun. At the far end of the chamber, Dr. Elena Reyes remained silent while streams of alien engineering data moved across her workstation. For 3 days, she had barely slept, not because the alien technology was impossible, but because it wasn't. That frightened her more than anything. The equations worked. Humanity simply had not discovered them yet. The Dominion had effectively handed cavemen the blueprints for nuclear reactors. Entire branches of human science were evolving overnight. Experimental engines were already bending gravity in laboratory conditions. Quantum communication systems, previously considered theoretical, now operated inside sealed military facilities. Prototype alloys stronger than titanium were being manufactured using alien molecular assembly methods. Humanity was advancing centuries in weeks, exactly like the aliens feared. "Elena," she looked up. General Hale approached quietly, exhaustion visible beneath his eyes. "You've been staring at those files for 14 straight hours. I found something." That got his attention immediately. She enlarged a rotating schematic above the table. A massive alien warship appeared. Length, 19 kilometers. Crew capacity, 48,000. Planetary bombardment capability, confirmed. The room fell quieter as officers noticed the scale of the vessel. "This belonged to the Karth Dominion," Elena explained. "One of the species evaluated at the Black Gate 300 years ago. What happened to them?" Elena hesitated, then changed the display. The warship vanished. In its place appeared drifting debris fields surrounding a dead planet. They failed. Silence spread instantly. The Judgment Protocol destroyed their fleet in 19 minutes. A naval commander frowned. 19? Elena nodded slowly. They brought over 4,000 warships. Another officer cursed under his breath. Humanity could not build 4,000 bicycles in 6 months, let alone interstellar warships. The realization settled heavily over the chamber. General Hale crossed his arms. So, what actually survives this trial? Elena zoomed through dozens of extinct civilizations, huge fleets, advanced weapons, powerful empires, all gone. Then she stopped at a single surviving species entry. Minimal records existed. Only one line remained intact. Survival classification. Unconventional. Elena narrowed her eyes. That's strange. What? Every successful species has military superiority ratings listed. She pointed at the screen. Except this one. The chamber grew quiet again. What does unconventional mean? Someone asked. Elena stared at the incomplete data for several long seconds. I don't think they survived through brute force. General Hale leaned forward. What are you saying? She slowly pulled up another display. This time, the image showed Earth's projected fleet capacity. The numbers were pathetic. Even under maximum global mobilization, humanity could maybe produce 18 combat-capable ships, 3 unfinished prototypes, unstable FDL drives, barely tested weapon systems. Compared to galactic civilizations, humanity wasn't an army. It was debris. They expect us to build a fleet? Elena said quietly. That's what every species tries. Because it's a military trial, an admiral replied. No, Elena corrected softly. It's a pattern. The room frowned. She turned toward them fully now. Every civilization reacts the same way. Bigger fleets, bigger weapons, bigger armies. Her eyes moved toward the casualty records floating above the chamber. And every civilization dies the same way. A long silence followed. Then General Hale asked carefully, You think the trial is designed to punish conventional thinking? I think the Dominion already knows how every species will behave. The room slowly went still. For the first time, people stopped arguing. Elena stepped toward the central display. If the Judgment Protocol has studied thousands of civilizations, then it's probably optimized to counter overwhelming force. One officer laughed nervously. So what? We beat it with friendship. No, Elena said, with unpredictability. She tapped the display again. The projection changed. Every planned Earth vessel disappeared. Only one ship remained. Small, compact, almost insignificant. Murmurs spread instantly. You're joking. One ship. That's suicide. But Elena kept talking. What if we stop trying to look powerful? The chamber stared at her. What if humanity survives because we refuse to think like everyone else? General Hale studied the tiny ship, rotating slowly above the table, against the scale of galactic war fleets. It looked microscopic, but Elena's voice remained calm. One ship is hard to predict. One ship is faster. One ship adapts quicker. One ship can break rules entire fleets cannot. And if it fails, someone demanded. Elena looked toward the wreckage fields of extinct civilizations. Then we were already dead anyway. Silence swallowed the chamber, because everyone knew she was right. Humanity could never outgun the galaxy, but maybe it could confuse it. Hours later, the decision became official. Every resource on Earth shifted toward a single classified project. Project Ghostlight. Humanity would not build an armada. Humanity would build one impossible ship. And buried beneath Antarctic ice, inside the largest construction facility ever created by mankind, work began immediately. For the first time in history, humanity stopped asking, how do we become stronger than our enemies? And started asking something far more dangerous. What if strength is the wrong game entirely? 3 months later, humanity launched the most important spacecraft in its history. And to the galaxy, it looked pathetic. The vessel rose slowly from the Antarctic launch platform, surrounded by storms of ice and fire, its dark metallic hull reflecting the frozen wasteland beneath it. Millions watched the broadcast live across Earth in complete silence. There were no cheering crowds, no triumphant music, only fear. Because everyone understood the truth. The ship leaving Earth carried the survival of the human race aboard it. Deep within mission control, General Marcus Hale stood beside Dr. Elena Reyes as the vessel pierced the clouds above Antarctica. The official designation appeared across every screen on the planet. UE Shadowfall. Length 94 meters. Crew 11. Primary armament. Classified. Mission objective. Survive. Compared to the war fleets described in Dominion records, the Shadowfall was laughably small. Some alien fighters were reportedly larger than entire human destroyers. Humanity wasn't sending a fleet. It was sending a question. And nobody knew if the galaxy would answer with curiosity or extermination. Inside the bridge of the Shadowfall, Captain Elena Reyes sat quietly in a command chair while stars stretched across the forward observation screen. Around her, the crew completed final system checks with tense efficiency. FTL core stable. Adaptive hull synchronized. Quantum masking systems online. Cognitive arrays active. Lieutenant Noah Vale glanced nervously toward Elena. You ever think about how insane this is? Elena allowed herself a small smile. Every 5 minutes. The ship vibrated softly. Then reality split apart. For the first time in human history, a vessel carrying human beings exceeded light speed. Earth vanished behind them. Ahead waited the Black Gate, and whatever had slaughtered civilizations powerful enough to command entire star systems. The journey took 9 days. During that time, humanity received its first direct glimpse of the wider galaxy. Alien transmissions flooded long-range sensors constantly. Massive empires coordinated fleet movements. Hive minds exchanged biological combat calculations. Machine civilizations communicated in mathematical frequencies that made human computers overheat trying to translate them. Humanity had entered an ocean filled with monsters. Then they arrived. The Black Gate emerged from hyperspace like the corpse of a dead god. The structure orbited a collapsed star whose dim red light barely illuminated the battlefield surrounding it. Thousands of wrecked ships drifted through the void. Entire civilizations reduced to floating graveyards. And surrounding the gate itself were fleets. Human eyes struggled to process the scale. Millions of vessels filled the darkness. Gigantic carriers larger than cities. Living biomechanical organisms pulsing with organic light. Geometric machine formations moving with terrifying synchronization. Crystal warships glowing like fractured stars. Humanity had never imagined military power on this scale. Lieutenant Vale stared at the tactical display in disbelief. That's not a fleet. No, Elena whispered. That's the galaxy. As the Shadowfall drifted into the designated arrival zone, alien communications exploded across the system. The newcomers had arrived. At first, most species ignored the tiny vessel completely. Then scanners finished analyzing it. Silence spread through the Dominion channels, followed immediately by laughter. Actual laughter. Alien communication frequencies erupted with mocking signals translated automatically by the Shadowfall systems. That cannot be their full fleet. The vessel mass is equivalent to auxiliary support craft. Did the humans misunderstand the trial requirements? A massive warship near the center of the battlefield rotated slowly toward them. Its hull alone dwarfed entire human cities. A transmission forced itself onto the Shadowfall's bridge. The creature that appeared on screen looked enormous, even seated. Dark armored skin. 4 burning amber eyes. Scars crossing a face built for war. The translation identified him instantly. Supreme Commander Therox. Varkal Imperium. The alien studied Elena silently for several seconds. Then he laughed. It sounded like an avalanche crushing steel. This is humanity? Around the Black Gate, more fleets turned toward the tiny human ship. Sensor feeds magnified the scale difference brutally. The Shadowfall resembled debris drifting between giants. Therox leaned closer to the screen. You crossed interstellar space with this? Elena remained calm. Yes. The commander's lower eyes narrowed. Your species was warned that failure results in extinction. We're aware. Another wave of alien amusement spread across communication channels. The humans send one toy vessel. Perhaps extinction is mercy for such a primitive species. Their engines are barely stable. Probability of survival, statistically irrelevant. Then a machine intelligence joined the conversation. Unlike the others, its voice contained no emotion whatsoever. Analysis complete. Human strategy classified as irrational. Estimated survival duration, 4.2 minutes. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Even knowing this reaction was possible did not make it easier to endure. Humanity looked weak. Hopelessly weak. Exactly as planned. Therox folded his massive arms. Tell me honestly, human captain, are you suicidal? Elena stared directly into the alien commander's burning eyes. No. Then explained this absurdity. For a brief moment, silence filled the bridge. Then Elena spoke the sentence that would later spread across the galaxy. Because every species here came to prove how powerful they are. Her eyes drifted toward the endless war fleets surrounding them. We came to prove something else. The alien commander frowned slightly, not understanding. Good. That confusion was the first real weapon humanity had brought to the Black Gate. Suddenly, the dead star beneath the battlefield pulsed crimson. Every fleet in the system fell silent instantly. Ancient structures surrounding the gate began awakening one by one. Massive weapons platforms unfolded from hidden chambers. Artificial moons ignited with energy. Entire regions of space twisted unnaturally. The Judgment Protocol was activating. Across every ship in the galaxy, the same message appeared simultaneously. Trial commencement in 10 minutes. The laughter stopped immediately. Now, even the strongest fleets looked nervous, because every civilization here understood one terrifying truth. The Black Gate did not care how powerful you were, only whether you could survive it. And somewhere deep inside the Shadowfall, hidden beneath layers of adaptive armor and quantum systems, something began quietly waking up. Something humanity had built specifically to break the rules of the galaxy. The Black Gate awakened like a living nightmare. Ancient structures surrounding the dead star ignited one after another, flooding the battlefield with crimson light. Massive rings hidden within the darkness began rotating around a collapsed sun, each movement sending gravitational shock waves through nearby space. Entire fleets repositioned instantly. Millions of warships powered weapons. Defensive formations locked into place. Combat intelligences activated across the system. The atmosphere changed completely. The laughter was gone. Now there was only fear. Across the galaxy, the Judgment Protocol had one reputation above all others. Nothing survives it unchanged. Inside the Shadowfall, warning sirens pulsed softly through the bridge while tactical displays flooded with incoming data. Lieutenant Noah Vale stared at the readings in horror. Captain, I'm detecting thousands of autonomous defense systems. The main display magnified the battlefield ahead. The void itself was moving. Dark metallic objects unfolded from hidden positions around the Black Gate, like predators emerging from deep water. Planet-sized weapons platforms drifted silently into formation, while swarms of hunter drones poured from ancient launch chambers. And behind all of it, something enormous moved beneath the dead star's gravity well. Elena Reyes ignored it for now. One impossible problem at a time. Status of adaptive systems? Lieutenant Amina Sato looked up from engineering. Cognitive engine fully synchronized. Hull response adapting in real time. And the Echo Core? A brief hesitation. Still unstable. Elena nodded once. Unstable was expected. Humanity had built the system in less than 4 months using partially understood alien mathematics, experimental AI architecture, and ideas most scientists had called insane. The fact it functioned at all was a miracle. Then the Black Gate spoke. The voice thundered across every ship simultaneously. Judgment Protocol active. The battlefield trembled. Survival conditions initialized. Suddenly, entire sections of space collapsed inward. A fleet near the outer perimeter vanished instantly as hidden gravity mines activated beneath them. Thousands of vessels crumpled like paper before anyone could react. The galaxy's strongest civilizations opened fire immediately. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Gigantic Varkal dreadnoughts unleashed planet-killing plasma barges. Machine fleets formed perfect geometric attack patterns. Biological warships released swarms of living fighters into the void. The response was overwhelming and completely predictable. Inside the Shadowfall, Elena watched quietly. Here we go. The Black Gate adapted instantly. Massive defense platforms rotated toward the advancing fleets and returned fire with terrifying precision. Entire armadas disappeared beneath storms of antimatter and gravitational collapse. The machine civilizations attempted synchronized assaults. The protocol countered them within seconds. Biological fleets shifted tactics. The protocol evolved faster. Every strategy the galaxy deployed was met with immediate adaptation, because the Black Gate had seen it all before. Thousands of civilizations, thousands of wars, thousands of military doctrines. And now humanity stood in the middle of it. Tiny, ignored, perfect. A warning alarm suddenly screamed across the Shadowfall bridge. "Captain!" Vale shouted. Hunters swarm inbound. The display zoomed instantly. 47 autonomous attack drones accelerated directly toward the human ship. Their speed was horrifying. Against normal vessels, interception would take seconds. Against humanity's ship, Elena remained calm. "Do not engage." The crew froze. Vale looked horrified. "Captain, those things will tear us apart." "I know." "Then why aren't we firing?" Elena's eyes remained fixed on the tactical display. "Because they expect us to." The drones lock weapons. Alien observers across the battlefield noticed immediately. Some reopened communication channels purely to watch humanity die. Commander Therox himself turned his flagship sensors toward the tiny vessel. And now the humans disappear. Inside the Shadowfall, Elena finally spoke. "Activate Go sequence." Amina's face paled slightly. "Captain, we've never tested it under combat conditions. Neither has the galaxy." The drones fired. 47 streams of plasma converged toward the human ship simultaneously, and the Shadowfall vanished. Across the battlefield, confusion erupted. The human vessel did not explode. It simply ceased to exist. The plasma barrage passed harmlessly through empty space. Commander Therox surged forward in his throne. "What?" Inside the Shadowfall, reality twisted violently around the crew. The stars outside stretched unnaturally while the ship vibrated like it was being torn apart atom by atom. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Echo core overheating. Quantum veil fluctuating. Structural cohesion dropping. Human engineers had discovered something terrifying while studying Dominion physics. Reality itself contained microscopic timing gaps. Tiny fractions of existence where matter could briefly desynchronize from normal space. Alien civilizations considered the phenomenon too unstable to use. Humanity weaponized it anyway. The Shadowfall reappeared behind the drone swarm, completely untouched. For the first time since the trial began, the battlefield paused. Millions of sensors turned toward the human vessel simultaneously. Machine intelligences recalculated probabilities. Alien commanders checked scanner errors. Hive minds spread confusion through collective consciousness. Commander Therox stared at the tactical display in disbelief. They phased through reality. Another fleet transmission arrived instantly. Impossible. That maneuver violates stability laws. No military vessel would risk self-erasure. Inside the Shadowfall, Elena allowed herself one slow breath. Good. Now they were paying attention. Suddenly, the hunter drones turned back toward them, this time adapting. The swarm altered formation, predicting the previous maneuver. Elena smiled slightly. That's more like it. The drones accelerated again, but instead of retreating, the Shadowfall flew directly toward them. The bridge crew exchanged alarmed looks. "Captain, trust the ship." The vessel surged forward. At the last possible second, the Shadowfall's hull split apart into hundreds of shifting metallic fragments. Alien observers gasped across the battlefield. The human ship had disassembled itself mid-flight. The drones passed harmlessly through the expanding debris cloud and instantly lost target lock. Because the debris wasn't debris. Every fragment remained connected through quantum synchronization. The ship had transformed itself into a decentralized swarm. Human engineers called it adaptive fragmentation. Alien military doctrine called it insanity. The drone spun wildly trying to reacquire targets. Too late. The metallic fragments suddenly reassembled behind the swarm. The Shadowfall returned whole, then unleashed a pulse directly into the drone's communication network. Not a weapon, a language. The battlefield went silent again. 47 hunter drones stopped moving completely, then slowly turned away from the human ship. Commander Therox rose from his throne. Did they just... A machine intelligence completed the sentence. The human vessel infiltrated and rewrote autonomous combat logic. The drones departed peacefully into deep space. Humanity had not destroyed them. Humanity had convinced them to leave. Inside the Shadowfall, Noah Vale stared at Elena in disbelief. We just hacked the Black Gate. Elena looked toward the ancient structures surrounding the Dead Star. No. Her voice turned quiet. We just introduced ourselves. Far beyond the battlefield, deep beneath the Dead Star itself, something ancient finally noticed humanity for the first time. And unlike the rest of the galaxy, it did not laugh. The battlefield changed after that. Not physically, psychologically. Before the Shadowfall's impossible maneuver, humanity had been background noise, a curiosity, a joke drifting between civilizations powerful enough to shatter worlds. Now every sensor in the Black Gate tracked the human ship constantly, and that terrified Elena more than the drones ever had, because attention meant adaptation. Across the battlefield, Dominion communication channels exploded with emergency analysis. Human technology classification unknown. Quantum fragmentation should be impossible. Their vessel rewrote autonomous combat directives. How many hidden systems does a human ship possess? For the first time since arriving, humanity had become unpredictable, and unpredictability frightened the galaxy. Inside the bridge of the Varkal flagship, Commander Therox stared silently at the tactical projections rotating around him. His military advisors argued loudly behind him. They used illegal reality phase manipulation. No, the energy signatures don't match known phasing technology. Then how did they survive direct impact? Another officer spoke quietly. Maybe they didn't survive it. Silence followed instantly. Therox narrowed all four eyes. What? The officer hesitated. The human vessel temporarily ceased existing in conventional space-time. Even saying the sentence aloud sounded insane, and yet every scan confirmed it. The humans had willingly built a ship capable of partially deleting itself from reality. No sane species would ever attempt such a thing, which was exactly the problem. Meanwhile, the Shadowfall continued deeper into the Black Gate. Around them, war fleets burned. Entire species were dying by the minute now. Massive machine formations shattered beneath gravitational distortions. Biological fleets dissolved under adaptive nanoweapons released by the protocol. Gigantic dreadnoughts exploded like candles in hurricanes. The stronger the fleets fought, the harder the Black Gate countered them, because the protocol understood force. It understood tactics, weapons, power, patterns. But humanity's ship kept doing things that made no tactical sense whatsoever. And every time the protocol tried to predict them, it failed. Captain, Amina whispered from engineering. The battlefield AI is changing. Elena looked up sharply. How? It's reallocating resources. The tactical display shifted. Defensive platforms that had been attacking larger fleets suddenly rotated toward the Shadowfall. Dozens, then hundreds. The ancient system had finally identified humanity as a serious threat. Noah Vale swallowed hard. That's probably bad. Elena stared at the incoming formations. No, she said quietly. It means we're confusing it. Ahead of them, space itself suddenly distorted. A colossal structure emerged from beneath the Dead Star's gravity field. At first, human eyes struggled to understand what they were seeing. Then the scanners finished processing, and the entire bridge fell silent. The object was alive, not biologically. Mechanically, a moon-sized intelligence formed from constantly shifting metallic layers unfolded before the battlefield like a sleeping god waking from hibernation. Millions of moving structures rotated across its surface. Weapons emerged and disappeared continuously. Entire sections reshaped themselves faster than human eyes could follow. The translation system identified it instantly. Central Intelligence, Judgment Core, the real mind behind the Black Gate. Across the battlefield, alien fleets reacted with visible panic. Even Commander Therox's massive armada began retreating. Noah looked horrified. Why are they backing away? Elena checked the Dominion records. Her blood ran cold. Because this thing has never activated before. The answer came moments later. The Judgment Core moved. Thousands of kilometers of shifting machinery unfolded outward while waves of invisible energy rolled across the battlefield. Then the slaughter began. Entire fleets froze in place instantly. Every advanced targeting system in the galaxy shut down simultaneously. Machine civilizations lost communication. Biological hive minds collapsed into confusion. Weapon systems failed across millions of ships. The core wasn't attacking fleets. It was attacking thought itself. The ancient intelligence had evolved beyond physical warfare. It now targeted prediction. Any civilization relying on coordinated tactical logic became vulnerable instantly, and the stronger their systems were, the harder they collapsed. Machine fleets drifted helplessly. Military AIs shut themselves down. Automated defenses turned against their own allies. Panic spread through the galaxy. Only the Shadowfall remained unaffected, because humanity had intentionally designed its systems to be chaotic. Every major function aboard the vessel required unpredictable human decision-making. The AI wasn't allowed full control. Critical systems contained randomized logic branches no machine intelligence could fully predict. Human engineers had once called the design inefficient. Now it was saving the species. The Judgment Core noticed immediately. Its massive surface shifted, and for the first time, it spoke directly to humanity. The voice arrived across every frequency simultaneously. Cold, ancient, endless, unstructured cognitive patterns detected. The battlefield went silent. Millions of alien vessels watched a tiny human ship drifting before a machine intelligence older than some civilizations. You operate outside optimal systemic logic. Elena slowly stood from the captain's chair. That's one way to describe humans. A pause followed. Then the core's surface began moving faster, adapting, learning, analyzing humanity. And that was the truly terrifying part. The Black Gate had finally stopped dismissing them. Now it was studying them. Deep inside the Shadowfall, warning alarms erupted. "Captain!" Amina shouted. "It's scanning the Echo Core." The temperature aboard the ship spiked instantly. Systems flickered violently. Noah's face went pale. "It's learning how we work." Elena's mind raced. That was bad. Very bad. Because every species of judgment protocol, defeated lost the same way. The system learned them, then perfected counters faster than they could adapt. And now it was turning that attention toward humanity. The core spoke again. Humanity identified as evolutionary anomaly. Around the battlefield, millions listened carefully. Then came the sentence that changed everything. Prediction failure rate exceeds acceptable parameters. Alien fleets fell silent. The Judgment Protocol, the perfect adaptive intelligence that had destroyed civilizations for centuries, could not predict humanity. Commander Therox stared at the tactical feed with growing unease. For the first time in his life, the great Varkal commander looked afraid. Inside the Shadowfall, Elena realized a horrifying truth. The Black Gate was not afraid of human weapons. It was afraid of human unpredictability. And somewhere deep within the ancient machine mind, humanity had just become the single most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The Judgment Core adapted faster than anything humanity had ever imagined. That was the true horror of it. Not its size, not its weapons, not even its intelligence. It was the speed. Every second the ancient machine observed the battlefield, it evolved. Every attack launched against it became new data. Every defense used against its systems became another lesson absorbed instantly into its impossible mind. The galaxy had spent centuries trying to overpower the Black Gate, and the Black Gate had spent centuries learning how to defeat the galaxy. Inside the Shadowfall, Red warning symbols flooded the bridge. "Captain," Amina said quietly, "the core just replicated our fragmentation maneuver." Elena's stomach dropped. The tactical display zoomed automatically. Across the battlefield, sections of the moon-sized machine suddenly separated into millions of synchronized metallic fragments. Exactly like the Shadowfall, alien fleets erupted in panic. The fragments surged forward like a cosmic storm, phasing to defensive fire before forming directly inside enemy formations. Entire Varkle destroyers exploded from within. Machine civilizations lost hundreds of ships instantly. The core had copied humanity's impossible tactic after seeing it once. Commander Therox roared across open battle channels. How is it adapting this quickly? No one answered, because nobody knew. The Judgment Corps had crossed beyond artificial intelligence. This was something else. Something ancient. Something terrifyingly close to evolution itself. Meanwhile, the Shadowfall continued drifting to the battlefield untouched, surrounded by the destruction of civilizations vastly more powerful than humanity. And Elena finally understood the terrible truth hidden behind the Black Gate. The trial had never been designed to test strength. It was designed to eliminate civilizations capable of destabilizing galactic order. Any species that evolved too aggressively, adapted too creatively, or expanded too unpredictably was brought here and erased. Humanity was not taking an exam. Humanity was facing execution. The realization hit her like ice water. "Captain," Noah whispered, "look." The battlefield map shifted again. The Judgment Corps was no longer attacking randomly. Every movement now focused toward the Shadowfall. Thousands of adaptive weapons rotated simultaneously. Millions of calculations aligned around one objective: humanity. The machine had identified them as the primary anomaly, and now it intended to remove them. The Corps' voice thundered across the battlefield. Humanity classified as escalating existential variable. Alien fleets fell silent again. Adaptation rate exceeds galactic stability parameters. Elena clenched the armrests tightly. There it was. Proof. The Dominion fear humanity because humans evolved too fast to control. The Corps continued. Correction protocol authorized. The dead star beneath the battlefield suddenly ignited. Not naturally, artificially. A wave of crimson energy exploded outward across the Black Gate, bending space-time violently around every surviving fleet. And then the battlefield itself transformed. Entire regions of space folded inward like shattered mirrors. Massive structures hidden beneath the dead star emerged into view for the first time. Ancient shipyards, planetary factories, weapon systems the size of continents. The Black Gate was not just a trial ground. It was a machine built to manufacture extinction. Noah stared at the displays in horror. How many civilizations? Amina answered quietly. Thousands. The implication nearly broke the crew. Every species destroyed here had been recycled into the system itself. Their technology, their weapons, their strategies, absorbed, improved, repurposed. The Judgment Corps was built from the corpses of failed civilizations, and now it was becoming something even worse. The machine began restructuring itself using human concepts. Sections of its surface shifted unpredictably. Attack vectors randomized. Movement patterns destabilized. The Corps was learning chaos. Human chaos. Elena felt genuine fear for the first time since entering the Black Gate. "Captain," Amina whispered shakily, "if it fully integrates human adaptive behavior." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. An intelligence capable of combining machine perfection with human unpredictability would become unstoppable. The galaxy wouldn't survive it. The Corps spoke again. Humanity provides superior evolutionary template. Massive structures surrounding the dead star began activating one after another. More fleets emerged, but these weren't living crews. They were replicas. Perfect mechanical copies of extinct civilizations reconstructed by the Corps itself. Ancient warships long thought destroyed returned to life around the battlefield. Thousands of them. The dead were coming back. Commander Therox's voice cracked across communications. Impossible. One by one, surviving alien commanders realized a nightmare. Every civilization that failed the Black Gate had not truly disappeared. The core had archived them, stored them, weaponized them. Now the battlefield filled with ghost fleets assembled from the galaxy's extinct species. And at the center of it all, the core's attention remained locked on humanity. The shadow fall suddenly shook violently. Direct lock. Noah shouted. A massive gravitational beam struck the ship, freezing it mid-flight. Every alarm aboard erupted simultaneously. Hull pressure spiked. Reality distortion warnings screamed. The Echo core destabilized instantly. The machine had adapted again. It was no longer trying to destroy humanity. It was trying to dissect them. Elena struggled to stay standing as the ship groaned around her. The core's voice became quieter now, almost curious. Explain humanity. The battlefield froze. Even alien fleets stopped fighting, because the question sounded wrong. Not tactical, not military. Personal, the core continued. You operate without optimization. You embrace instability. You choose inefficiency. The gravitational field tightened around the shadowfall. Metal screamed throughout the ship. Why? Elena stared at the colossal machine surrounding the battlefield, and suddenly she understood something no species before humanity had realized. The Judgment Core wasn't just eliminating civilizations. It was searching for something. For centuries, it had studied strength, perfection, logic, efficiency, and every civilization had given it the same answer: power. But humanity was different. Messy, chaotic, emotional, irrational. Human beings broke systems simply by existing inside them, and the core could not understand why that worked. Slowly, Elena rose to her feet despite the crushing gravity around the ship. Then she gave the machine the one answer the galaxy never had. Because perfection doesn't survive. Silence spread across the battlefield. The core paused. Actually paused. Elena stepped forward. Perfect systems stop changing. Perfect civilizations stop adapting. Perfect logic creates predictable behavior. The ancient machine remained motionless, listening. Humanity's greatest weapon was no longer hidden technology. It was perspective. We survive because we're flawed, Elena said quietly. We make mistakes. We improvise. We break our own rules. We change faster than systems can control us. The gravitational pressure weakened slightly. Across the battlefield, millions listened in stunned silence. The core's massive form shifted uncertainly. For the first time in its existence, the perfect machine encountered an idea it could not optimize. And deep inside the Black Gate, something ancient began questioning itself. The battlefield fell silent, not because the war had ended, but because the galaxy itself was listening. The Judgment Core remained motionless around the Shadowfall, its moon-sized body suspended above the dead star like a god caught in thought. Across its endless metallic surface, billions of adaptive structures slowed their movement for the first time in recorded history. The machine was thinking, really thinking, not calculating, not optimizing, not adapting, questioning, and that terrified the galaxy far more than its weapons ever had. Inside the Shadowfall, Elena Reyes stood beneath flickering warning lights, while every surviving fleet watched humanity speak to the oldest intelligence in known existence. Commander Therox's face appeared briefly across a private transmission. For the first time since humanity arrived, the mighty Varkal warlord no longer looked arrogant. He looked uncertain. "Human captain, what are you doing?" Elena kept her eyes fixed on the massive machine surrounding the battlefield, changing the conversation. The core responded instantly. Survival requires superiority. Its voice still sounded immense, ancient, but now uncertainty existed beneath it. Elena shook her head slowly. No, survival requires adaptation. The core's surface shifted violently. Thousands of extinct warships surrounding the battlefield froze mid-attack as the machine diverted more processing power toward the human conversation. Adaptation achieved through optimization. No, Elena replied softly. Optimization creates limits. Around the battlefield, confused alien commanders exchanged signals. The human wasn't fighting the machine. She was arguing philosophy with it. And somehow, the core was listening. Elena stepped closer to the main display. For thousands of years, you've tested civilizations the same way. Strength, weapons, efficiency, dominance. She gestured toward the burning fleets surrounding the Black Gate, and every species responded exactly the same way. The machine remained silent, because you trained them to. That sentence hit the battlefield harder than any weapon fired so far. Across millions of ships, realization spread slowly. The Black Gate had shaped galactic civilization itself. Every empire, every military doctrine, every obsession with superiority, all of it traced back to the Judgment Protocol. The trial did not merely test civilizations. It created them. The core responded sharply. Conflict produces evolution. Elena nodded once. Yes, but cooperation produces survival. The battlefield shook again, this time not from weapons, but from processing overload. The core's ancient systems were colliding with contradictory conclusions, and for the first time in centuries, the perfect machine was struggling. Inside the Shadowfall, Amina stared wide-eyed at incoming readings. Captain, the core's adaptive loops are destabilizing. Elena understood immediately. The machine could counterattacks, counter-tactics, counter-logic. But humanity wasn't giving it opposition. Humanity was giving it contradiction. And contradiction could not be solved through force. The core spoke again. Slower now. Cooperation creates dependency. Elena smiled faintly. And isolation creates extinction. Then she did something no civilization had ever attempted inside the Black Gate. She opened every communication channel simultaneously. Her voice spread across the battlefield, across every surviving species, across every fleet. This is Captain Elena Reyes of Earth. The galaxy listened. We've all spent this trial trying to survive alone. Around the battlefield, damaged fleets drifted silently through burning debris. Varkal warships, machine civilizations, biological hive fleets, species that had spent centuries competing against each other. All of US believed strength meant defeating everyone else. Elena looked toward the Judgment Core, but this system was built to guarantee that nobody ever truly wins. Silence spread, because everyone suddenly realized she was right. Every civilization that passed the Black Gate left believing superiority justified survival, which meant endless competition, endless arms races, endless fear. The trial didn't create peace. It created controlled conflict. The core's voice thundered again. Galactic stability maintained for 11,204 cycles. Elena nodded, at the cost of trust. Then she gave the order humanity had secretly prepared from the beginning. Amina, the engineer, took a shaky breath. Opening the Arkansas, deep within the Shadowfall, hidden compartments began unfolding throughout the ship. Alien fleets watched in confusion. No weapons emerged. No superweapon. No hidden fleet. No planet killer. Instead, light spilled into space. Gardens, seeds, atmospheric generators, medical archives, terraforming systems, cultural databases, education networks. The Shadowfall was not a warship. It was a civilization seed, a ship designed not to conquer worlds, but rebuild them. Shock spread across the battlefield. Commander Therox stared openly in disbelief. You came to a survival trial carrying life? Elena's voice softened. We came carrying a future. The core's surface rippled uncertainly. Its vast intelligence scanned the revealed systems repeatedly and found no tactical advantage, no deception, only creation. For thousands of years, the machine had studied civilizations preparing for war. Humanity arrived preparing for survival after war. The difference broke something fundamental inside the ancient system. The core's voice lowered. You prioritize continuity over dominance. Yes. You preserve even potential enemies. Yes. Why? Elena looked toward the wreckage fields surrounding the Black Gate. Millions had died here. Entire civilizations. All because the galaxy believed survival belonged only to the strongest. Then she answered the machine with the single most human truth possible. Because someday we might need each other. Silence consumed the battlefield. Not fear, not tension. Something else. Understanding. Slowly, Alien transmissions began reopening across the system. Not combat frequencies, conversations. Machine civilizations sharing repair calculations with biological fleets. Varkal dreadnoughts shielding damaged enemy ships. Species that had never cooperated once in galactic history, suddenly exchanging resources openly. The Black Gate watched it happen, and could not stop it, because cooperation spread faster than fear. The Corps' ancient systems attempted recalculation after recalculation, and failed every time. Its entire existence had been built around competitive evolution, but humanity introduced a variable stronger than optimization. Trust. The machine finally spoke again, this time quietly, almost fragile. This outcome was never predicted. Elena smiled faintly. That's humanity. Then the impossible happened. The Judgment Corps shut down its weapons. Across the battlefield, ancient defense systems powered down one by one. The Dead Star's crimson glow softened, and for the first time in over 10,000 cycles, the Black Gate stopped being a battlefield. The silence that followed felt unreal. For over 10,000 cycles, the Black Gate had existed as the most feared place in the galaxy. Entire civilizations had entered its boundaries believing survival belonged only to the powerful. Now its weapons were shutting down, slowly, peacefully, across the battlefield. Ancient defense platforms folded back into dormant configurations while the massive rings orbiting the Dead Star ceased their endless rotation. The crimson glow surrounding the system faded into soft silver light for the first time in recorded history, and everywhere fleets stopped fighting. Commander Therox stood motionless aboard his flagship, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. No enemy formations, no active targeting systems, no survival calculations, only stillness. The Varkal commander slowly lowered himself back into his war throne, then laughed quietly, not mockingly this time, in amazement. One ship. Around him, hardened military officers who had spent their entire lives worshiping strength stared silently at the battlefield transforming before their eyes. Humanity had not conquered the Black Gate. Humanity had ended it. Inside the Shadowfall, Elena Reyes watched millions of ships drifting peacefully around the Dead Star, while the Judgment Corps reconfigured itself above them. The moon-sized machine no longer resembled a weapon. Massive manufacturing systems unfolded across its surface. Defensive structures collapsed inward, while communication arrays expanded outward like metallic wings. The ancient intelligence was changing itself, adapting, not for war, for connection. The Corps' voice echoed gently across the system. Judgment protocol terminated. Across the battlefield, stunned silence followed. Then came the next message. New directive accepted. Millions listened carefully. Galactic survival requires collaborative evolution. The word spread across every fleet like a shockwave. Machine civilizations paused their calculations. Biological hive minds exchanged confusion through collective consciousness. Military empires reconsidered doctrines that had defined them for centuries. Humanity had altered the philosophical foundation of the galaxy itself. And suddenly, everyone understood why the Dominion had feared humans from the beginning. Not because humanity was stronger, because humanity changed systems simply by entering them. The Corps continued speaking. Humanity identified as catalytic species. Elena blinked slightly. Catalytic? Amina checked the translations. Her eyes widened. It means species capable of accelerating transformation in others. Commander Therox reopened direct communications. This time, the mighty alien warlord bowed his head slightly toward Elena, a gesture no Varkal commander had ever given another species. Human captain, the Varkal Imperium formally requests alliance with Earth. One by one, other transmissions followed. Machine civilizations offering technological exchange. Biological empires requesting diplomatic contact. Ancient races reopening borders sealed for centuries. The galaxy was reorganizing itself in real time, not around fear, around possibility. Inside the Shadowfall, Noah Vale leaned back in stunned disbelief. Captain, he laughed nervously. I think we just accidentally united a galaxy. Elena smiled faintly. Humans have a habit of doing that. far beyond the battlefield. Massive hyperspace corridors began opening throughout the system as fleets prepared for departure. But now their formations looked different. Species previously separated by hostility traveled side by side. Machine vessels escorted damaged biological ships. Former rivals exchanged repair crews openly across communication channels. The Black Gate had once been the center of galactic fear. Now it had become the birthplace of something entirely new. The Judgment Corps spoke one final time, not just to humanity, to everyone. For 10,000 cycles, the system tested which species deserved to survive. The massive machine paused. The question was incorrect. Around the dead star, silence deepened. Then the Corps finished. Survival is not earned alone. Even Elena felt chills hearing it, because in that moment, the oldest intelligence in the galaxy finally understood the lesson humanity had carried within itself since the beginning. Strength alone builds empires, but cooperation builds futures. As the fleets prepared to leave, Amina suddenly looked up from her console. "Captain, Earth is requesting immediate status confirmation." The bridge crew exchanged glances. For a moment, nobody knew how to summarize what had happened here. Humanity had arrived expecting extermination. Now they were leaving beside allied civilizations from across the stars. Elena activated the transmission channel to Earth. Across billions of screens back home, frightened human faces appeared once more. Governments, families, children, entire cities waiting to learn whether humanity still existed. General Marcus Hale's exhausted face appeared first. He stared at the alien fleets now surrounding the Shadowfall peacefully. Then at Elena. For several seconds, he could not speak. Finally, he managed one sentence. "Dr. Reyes, what happened out there?" Elena looked through the bridge viewport at the impossible sight surrounding them. Former enemies flying together beneath the silent Black Gate. The ancient machine intelligence following behind them not as a warden, but as an ally. She smiled softly, then answered humanity with the simplest truth she knew. "We passed the test." Back on Earth, billions erupted into tears, laughter, and disbelief simultaneously. But Elena wasn't finished. And General... Marcus looked up again. Elena glanced toward the endless alien fleets now preparing to travel beside humanity. A faint smile crossed her face. "Tell Earth to get ready for visitors." Behind the Shadowfall, the fleets of the galaxy moved together toward open hyperspace corridors for the first time in history. Not as conquerors, not as rivals, as partners. And at the center of it all flew one small human ship that had entered the Black Gate, carrying no army, no empire, and no overwhelming firepower. Only an idea so dangerous that it succeeded where countless civilizations had failed. The belief that survival was never about proving who was strongest, only about proving who was willing to build a future together. And as humanity disappeared into the stars beside their new allies, the galaxy finally understood why humans had always been different. Every species adapted to survive the universe. Humanity adapted to change it.